Hi, I'm Norman Liss, and the name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. I've always been very interested in firefighting, and that is the subject of our program today, because my guest is Barbara Hayward, who is the director of the New York City Fire Museum. And Barbara, I am looking forward to a wonderful discussion with you because of my interest. But let's talk about this interest. What is this fascination that people have with fires and firefighting and firefighting equipment that warrants the establishment of a museum devoted to fire and firefighting?
Well, I think there's always been a lure and the romance of firefighting has always been there. Who would go into a burning building to save lives when everyone else is running out? So there's something there. There's something to firefighting, and we have the heritage of that at the New York City Fire Museum, I think.
The kids, of course, love it, and we have an array right here in front of us of some of the things that are offered in a great, colorful shop that you have there. Patches, fire engines. Is that a little?
It's a stuffed animal, and we have erasers and T-shirts and all kinds of fun things that you can buy after you visit the museum.
And you do have groups who come in from schools throughout the year?
We have over 10,000 school children that come through the museum, and we give them a guided tour, a lecture on fire safety and prevention. It's all part of our fire safety education program. And you can come by appointment and have a wonderful time with school children and other children of all ages. The thing is, though, that the museum is not a hands-on museum. You can't climb on any of the fire engines, but we do have wonderful fire engines and all kinds of other wonderful pieces of art and artifacts to look at.
So while I remove some of these from the table so that we can prepare to show some other things, why don't you tell us a little bit about what exactly the museum is? What does it consist of? How it started? And let's go into some of the details about what it is.
Well, the museum is really quite a fascinating place. First of all, it's located down in Soho in Manhattan, and it's in a original firehouse that was built in 1904. So in those days, there were horses driving the fire engines, not motorized engines. And when you come to the museum, you'll see the original apparatus floor that has the original tiles on the floor so that the horses wouldn't slip on the way out.
So the tile, actually the horses were kept?
The horses were kept in the back of the firehouse, and along with the equipment, and the men lived in the firehouse as the men and women today live in the firehouse when they're on their tour, when they're on duty. And at the New York City Fire Museum, you can see the original apparatus floor. We have 2 floors of exhibition space there, and what's interesting for me at the museum, what makes it great, I think, is that we have quite an eclectic collection of art and artifacts from the mid-18th century all the way up to the present that are all related to firefighting.
Now, you say eclectic, and certainly I've been through the museum and I've seen that. The range of what you have is unbelievable, and it's presented so beautifully.
Well, thank you.
So why don't we talk about some of the various elements that are in there?
Well, you'd think firefighting and what type of things would be in a fire museum. Well, in our museum, we have oil paintings, we have Currier and Ives prints, we have leather buckets, we have presentation silver, decorative arts, oil paintings, as well as pieces of apparatus.
Let's talk about some of that apparatus now. These are actually pieces of equipment that were used in firefighting and a long time ago, and some of them not such a long time ago.
That's right. One of our earliest or most recent pieces of apparatus is a 1959 searchlight truck. And there's a picture of it that we'll show later. But that's a a piece of apparatus that was on the streets of New York City as recently as 1990. But we have pieces...
Now, they don't use searchlight trucks today?
No, they don't. The lighting equipment is now attached to the fire engines. But in the museum, you can also see pieces of equipment that go back to as far back as 1765 is probably our earliest piece. That's a hand-pumped, hand-drawn piece of apparatus, not even horse-drawn.
Now, hand-drawn, maybe people don't understand this, but the firefighters really had to
pull it. Actually, literally pull it.
You've got a wonderful print on the wall that shows a similar type of pump, actually with the firefighters pulling it along.
Yes, we do. That's a Currier and Ives print from a famous series of prints. And that particular one that I think you're referring to is very similar to a piece that we have in the museum called the Steinway hose carriage.
Very impressive.
Yes, it's a beautiful piece, and it's on our second floor gallery.
Let's give some of the background on that, because I found that story to be an unusual one.
Well, what's unique about it is that the Steinway and Sons Piano Company made that piece in their piano factory in Long Island City. In the 1870s, they still have a factory in Long Island City, of course, but in the 1870s, when Mr. Steinway came to this country to start building pianos, he was very philanthropic and had his own library and his own hospital, and he also had his own fire engine company, volunteer fire company, and so he had his men in the factory make the Steinway hose carriage, and it's quite a beautiful piece. It was made mainly for parade and ceremonial purposes, but it was also used to fight fires.
Now, how do you obtain the various items that you have there? Artifact is an interesting term. Where do they come from? How did this museum start?
The museum, it's interesting because the museum was formed by the combination of two major collections. One was the New York City Fire Department had a museum that started in the 1930s, and it was located in various places, but most recently, before the New York City Fire Museum opened, it was down on Duane Street. So a lot of people might have been to the New York City Fire Museum, or the Fire Department Museum, as it was called then, on Duane Street. But also, the second major collection that we have in the current museum was from a private museum from the Home Insurance Company. And that also coincidentally started in the 1930s. So we have over 60 years of collecting of firefighting art and artifacts, which represent almost 300 years of firefighting history.
Now, where does it come from? Are you constantly acquiring new things?
We acquire new things occasionally. However, I think that at the moment the main emphasis on the museum is to properly preserve and maintain the beautiful things that we have already. But we always keep an eye out for things that we have that are lacking in our collection. People donate things to us that they've had that are related to firefighting, and we are happy to accept those things. But again, our main emphasis is not on collecting at this point. Maybe down the road we'll start collecting when maybe we get some more money to purchase new or old but new for us art and artifacts. But I think our main concern at the moment is to preserve what we have.
Is restoration a very big part of putting some of the things that you acquire in condition where they can be put on display?
It's a very big part and big concern, I think, for any museum. And our museum has beautiful things, and a lot of them do need to be properly conserved, and we're working on that. But it's time consuming and money consuming.
Yeah.
So
Well, money is always a subject that comes up in all of my discussions with museum directors, and one of the ways that admission, of course, is free to this museum, but you do have memberships, don't you? And people can join.
we do, and what's interesting is that the museum is actually, the collection is actually owned by the City of New York, and the building itself is also a city-owned building. But the museum is managed and maintained by a private, non-profit organization, the New York City Fire Museum. So we're responsible for doing all our own fundraising, and we do that through some of the activities that you just mentioned, membership. You can join the museum and donate an annual fee, and in return you get our newsletter and you get a discount on some of those things that you saw here earlier. But more importantly, you get to participate in knowing that you help support the museum. We have a suggested donation when you come to the museum of $3 for adults and 50 cents for children. We do fundraising activities, benefit receptions, and that type of thing. And we also apply for grants from private corporations, from foundations, as well as from the government. We just recently received a wonderful support from the New York State Council on the Arts to help us conserve an antique silk banner that we have. And so we were just talking about conservation and the money that's needed for that. The New York State Council on the Arts has helped us, along with a private donor who has contributed towards that end.
You know, we talked about children, and we started by an array of toys and things that do appeal to children. You've done a special exhibit in the past, and you've got one currently, but let's talk about the one you did in the past. That was on toys, wasn't it?
It was.
And you've brought along today some examples of some of these old firefighting type of toys, and maybe we can show a couple of them, but I know you want to put on your curator's gloves to do that. And what's the reason for wearing gloves when you're handling any of these artifacts?
Well, the reason is because even if you have perfectly clean hands, which I hope I do, there's still natural oils and dirt on your hands. So it's a good way to protect the pieces of art or artifacts that you touch. It also protects your hands from anything that might be on the works of art that you're going to
As you say, you lift them carefully from the bottom.
Right. Shall we lift this one?
Why don't you do that and put it right in front of you and turn it sideways to the camera? We can get a good view of it. That would be fine. What is this?
This one is called a hill climber toy, and it's a replica of a steam pumper. This toy was made probably around 1910, and the reason it's called a hill climber is because there is a flywheel under the bottom, a mechanism that when you wind it up, the friction will create enough power for it to actually climb up a tree, up a hill. Up a tree would be interesting. Children, of course, love this type of thing today as in 1910, and I can just see little boys and girls enjoying this toy at that time.
I think if you'll turn it so that the back is towards the camera, there's a fireman on the back. That's fine. The fireman today, he comes off too.
He comes off so kids could play with him.
And, of course, in our urban environments today, the firemen all ride inside, don't they?
They do, and they do.
It's a lot different than it was.
Well, I was just going to say that earlier than this period, this example
Why don't you
that we
take the other one off first, and then we'll be able to do that so we can see it.
This one was made in 1895, and it's called a brownie hose reel. This was a series of toys. There were 3 or 4 toys that went with the series, and it's cast iron, And what would happen in the real life situation is that the firefighters would run alongside. There's no place to ride along, either on the side or in anywhere. So in the real fire, the firefighters would run along to get to the fire.
Now, this was an exhibit that you had there. Why don't we take that off? And this was an exhibit that you had that is no longer on toys. But you have a current exhibit which is on an entirely different subject. And the object is a little larger here.
Lanterns.
The subject is lanterns. Now, let's talk about lanterns. Why are lanterns used?
So that the firefighters can see where they're going in a dark environment.
So they used these lanterns when they went into the fire building?
Yes. This now they use flashlights or searchlights, and they use searchlights or flashlights that are specifically made for firefighters, or some of the firefighters just use everyday common flashlights that you might even have in your kitchen drawer, those little pocket ones that can hold up on their helmet.
Yes, you see the firemen when they're at a fire, in the bands on the helmet, they'll have a flashlight and a wooden wedge. And the reason for the wedge, as I understand it, is so that if they go through a door, they put that wedge in so the door won't close behind them.
That's right, so they can get back out.
Get back out again.
And, of course, they use the flashlight or the searchlight so that they can hopefully see their way. It's very dark and mysterious when you go into a burning building that's mostly smoky.
So what is this exhibit?
Well, this exhibit is many lanterns from the museum's permanent collection that we don't normally have on view all the time. But we have, as much as the things that you saw on our first and second floor, we have more in storage. And so every once in a while we take out some new things so that the public can see special exhibitions. And the current special exhibition, which will be up through May 14th, is on lamps and lanterns and searchlights. And what it does is give a historic overview of firefighting lamps and lanterns, from old lanterns all the way up to the modern flashlights. This particular one is called a Dietz lantern, and the firefighter would have it on his arm so that he could just climb up the ladder and into the building. This little hook is so that it can easily fit onto the outside of the piece of apparatus so that it won't dangle. And
I'm sure you have other special exhibitions coming up in the future.
We do.
I just want to make the point right here that today we are discussing the New York City Fire Museum, and the director of the museum, Barbara Hayward, is with us today. I do want to get to the subject of fire marks, and I know you've got some very old ones here. Why don't you bring one of them up and tell us what they are?
Show and tell here. This is a fire mark. I have two examples here that I'd like to share with you, but fire marks are not used anymore, but they originated in England, and what they are plaques or marks that were issued by the insurance company to prove that you paid your insurance. You would put this plaque up outside your building.
Would you just hold it steady so the camera can see?
And it would be issued by the insurance company to indicate that you paid your insurance.
Now that looks like four hands.
It is. It's the symbol for this. This was the original insurance company that came to this country, that was formed in Philadelphia, and it was called the Philadelphia Contributionship Company.
So what you're saying is that if you didn't have a fire mark on your building, the fire companies would not put out your fire.
That's right. So the story goes.
Mm-hmm.
Or they would, there was lots of rivalry in those days between volunteer fire companies And if a particular insurance company would reimburse your fire company for expenses and equipment and that type of thing. And so when they came to a burning building and they saw this plaque, they would know that they would get reimbursed if they put the fire out. And this is the symbol of the four hands. This one dates from about 1774. And let me show you.
It's made
this
of
other
wood.
one.
Let's put this down first.
Okay.
They're made of wood?
Well, no, this is cast lead.
Oh, it is lead.
But it's on a wooden plaque,
okay.
and the wooden plaque would be attached to the outside of your house. And here's a hole.
I see.
Would be attached. That's how it would be attached to your building. And this one is a symbol of a tree, the green tree. And this is also an insurance company that is still in existence today. It's the Mutual Assurance Company, but their logo is the green tree. And that's because the first insurance company, where the Four Hands, they wouldn't insure a house that had a tree outside
Really?
it. However, this company would, and so that's...
And they named themselves the Green Tree Company.
Green Tree, yes. And the museum has probably the most comprehensive collection of fire insurance marks definitely in this country and perhaps in the world. And
how many would you say are in that? They cover, what, 3 walls? 4?
Well, they cover 2 large walls, but we also have many more of them in storage. We have quite a large collection of them. And not all of them, the original ones were cast lead, as these 2 are. They were then made later of mostly tin.
There's more than just showing things. There's a mission that you have in terms of education and fire prevention, isn't there, at the museum?
We do. We have I think our mission is, in addition to preserving and maintaining these beautiful pieces of art and artifact, our other main mission is our fire safety education program to promote fire safety to the public through that program. And we were talking about the school children that come to the museum. We have over 10,000 school children that come through, and if we can just impress upon one of those children what it means to be in a fire and how to get out of a fire, how to prevent a fire, I think that's an important goal for us.
The visitors are not only school children, however. You do have visitors who come in as individuals, and you do have visitors who come in from all over the world, I suppose.
We do. We have a lot of foreign visitors, tourists that are interested in museum going. Since we're located in the popular Soho area, we have a lot of people who are just down in Soho who stop by the museum. We have firefighters from all over the world who specifically come to the museum. We've had visitors from Japan, from England, firefighters.
I think this would be a good time to tell exactly where the museum is located in its how long has it been in its present location?
We've been on Spring Street in the present location for about 7 years.
That's on Spring Street between Hudson and Varick.
That's right. We're at number 278 Spring Street, and we have 2 floors of exhibition space, as I mentioned.
What can we give a number where people could call for information, and then maybe we ought to give the hours that you're open as well.
Okay. The telephone number is area code 212-691-1303, and we're open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 4, and in the summer, in June, July, and August, we're open in the evenings on Thursday evening till 9 p.m. because we have an outdoor cafe that you can come to have a glass of wine or a beer or club soda or whatever you want. And
I do want to also talk a little bit, as you know, because they came to get information. The Yonkers Fire Department has an exhibit which is currently is going to run through most of this year, and it's in the historic Phillips Manor house, and they said that they patterned it after the way you exhibit it, and so I just want to suggest to our audience that you might want to get over to Phillips Manor and see close by this exhibit, which is very interesting and shows in a very much smaller way some of the firefighting equipment and what goes on. You can get information about that by calling Phillips Manor, and the number is 914-965-4027, and they are open weekdays and also on Sunday, and they give you the exact hours when you call there. Where is it going to go, Barbara? Is the museum going to expand? I know you have a third floor up there that is not being used at the moment. Do you have hopes of expanding this museum?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think that the third floor has wonderful potential for us in terms of exhibition space, reception area, changing exhibitions. We're working on getting that space renovated. We will be starting a capital campaign to raise money for it, but we already have some seed money, and we're working on getting it in shape so that you can come see us and look at the third floor as well.
It's not a place that you'd go to just once. There are so many items that we really haven't had time to talk about today. The fire horns, for example, some of the very lovely, the massive serving set, was it, that...
Yes, well, with that you're talking about the silver presentation set, and it's quite an impressive piece of art. It's 800 ounces of solid sterling silver, but what it is it was a presentation piece from New Orleans, and we have other pieces of silver. The speaking trumpets, a lot of those are silver. We have
that's how the officers would call instructions.
Yes, instead of walkie-talkie, which is what they use today, the officers would shout out their orders through like a megaphone, except it was a speaking trumpet.
There just isn't enough time to see everything, and there isn't enough time in this program to cover everything, and we've run out of time. So I thank you very much for coming. My guest today is Barbara Hayward, who is the director of the New York City Fire Museum on Spring Street. It's a great place, great to take the kids. Go there. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go, and until next week at the same time, enjoy yourself.